Today, tonight, after I make this announcement, I want all family heads, I want you to forget whatever you were teaching before I came home, please. All the 5 families, tonight becomes their own independent church. The only thing Spac Nation will be from now on is just a movement.
Welcome to the Exposer. So you just heard from Spac Nation's global pastor, basically saying that Spac Nation is no longer. In other words, that's what he was saying. Now, no one should be fooled, because this is a man who's basically trying to rebrand his whole organization. He knows that Spac Nation is a name that just holds negativity. Today, Spac Nation is probably the most talked about cult across London. I won't say church, cult, because everything they do is like a cult. So he's decided now to remove his organization from that name, Spac Nation, so that they can continue to allegedly groom people to join in the organization, so they can continue doing what they've always done. And that's one of the first reasons to why he's announced that. He's no longer attracting people to that place because of the word Spac Nation. And he knows when he goes, some of his leaders, who may not be known by anybody, can continue doing what they're doing in terms of recruitment. Because now it won't be Spac Nation. They'll be recruiting under something else. So this is obviously a plan that he's had to resort to, because he knows that his organization is officially done. It's officially done. What he's left with now is just his core members. We're talking about a bunch of people who have participated in recruiting so many people. We're talking about a bunch of people who have been involved in some serious criminal activities, allegedly. These are basically the ones who are ready to do anything for this man. They're the ones who are left. And of course, they're the ones who are still recruiting young people into joining the Spac Nation. So now he's removing himself from that name. He's allowing his members now to have that pressure, so that they can each family house or fellowship group or trap houses can now compete against each other. If you guys haven't seen the exposing videos of this man, I would encourage you guys to go and watch all of the exposing videos of PT, so you guys can really understand the full breakdown of how he created this organization. Now, I just want to remind everyone that this is something he tried to do last year. But what he tried to do last year is he had more fellowship groups. And now, just to let you guys know, once upon a time, Spac Nation had over 18 fellowship groups. Today, he's talking about 5. Why? Because many people left, many leaders walked away, and he was unable to finance Spac Nation from getting venues, because he couldn't afford to do it no more because of the lack of income that was coming in. He couldn't do it no more. So now they ended up resolving to the trap houses. So there was many trap houses before, now there's 5. So this is part of his plan. But once upon a time, when he still had a lot of trap houses, he tried to divide the fellowship groups in half, so that he would have 2 churches. He announced it officially. It's on the Exposer page. It's everywhere. He announced that Spac Nation was now going to become 2 churches. And he had other people who were going to lead it. And that is another thing that backfired. It never worked out for him. He tried it. It just never worked. It never worked. He couldn't afford to get two big venues, because he didn't have enough members attending to the churches. And he knew that him not being, unless he was preaching, it was going to be hard for him to have people attending. So that also never worked out for him. So if everyone's been watching, whoever's been watching the whole journey of Spac in the past year, you will understand that he is openly admitting that he's losing money, losing members, things are not working well for him, to a point where now he has to remove himself from an organization, the name, the branding, the one that once upon a time so many people talked about in a positive light. Today, that name, Spac Nation, is tarnished. It is tarnished. There is no way of changing. There's no way of making that name all of a sudden become a positive name. He's tried it. In the past few months, he has tried. Film himself giving food to people and things like that, just to try and clear his image. He's paid many Nigerian platforms to talk good about Spac Nation. It's not working. There's no results. The results that he wanted hasn't worked. He's gone on other channels, major platforms in London, like the ZZ Mill show. He felt like it's something that could help his image. Still backfired, because not long after, there was a raid and an arrest. Multiple arrests, actually. So he has now decided that it's time to move on from the name Spac Nation. So he's going to let the 5 houses, trap houses, or fellowship groups, which I believe there's the COD, he's got his Phoebes, which is like a bunch of girls. He's got his 3Gs, which is the young leaders at Spac Nation. He's got the older generation. He's got about 5 groups, and he mentioned they'll all become independent churches. So now you will have a young pastor like Patrick now handle this pressure that is behind him by trying to impress Toby, by doing the most in terms of recruiting, and also by trying to help them raise the target that they are taught, that they are given. These young people will have that sort of pressure. These young women will have that pressure now, because they'll all become independent churches in Toby's eyes. This is how they'll look at it. So what they're trying to do now is they're going to compete against each other, and they will try to impress, to show them that their church is doing better than the other church. And if you've seen videos of Spac Nation pastors, you will hear Marimola mention that she likes to compete with giving with other fellow pastors. So this is part of their culture at Spac Nation. But people should not be worried, because the end is happening. The end is happening. He's letting everyone know indirectly that if something happens to Spac Nation soon, it won't bother him, because he's no longer part of Spac Nation. So this is a little trick that he has up his sleeve. But it means absolutely nothing, because everybody knows who his leaders are. So everybody will know there will forever be Spac Nation members. And this is something he cannot remove. So Toby he's defeated. He's a defeated man. This is his last solution before he goes to Nigeria. He needs to make sure for at least a reasonable period of time, he's able to have these groups, these so-called independent churches, who will try to give him the money that he needs, allegedly, while he's back to Nigeria. So this is what it's all part of. So it's gone down from 18 to 5. Soon you will hear there's no more Spac Nation. And then what? The next step will be, there will be two trap houses. They'll probably be hosting services in the trap houses, like they've been doing recently. And if you guys can remember, 6 months ago or 5 months ago, we mentioned this is what was going to happen. Because they are losing money. They are forcing so many members to live together. So some of these houses they're living is 5 bedrooms, but then you have 14 members living there. Where do you think they're all sleeping? Every trap house has more than 10 people living in there. And the more they recruit, the more people are going to live there. And this is the only way they're able to afford their rent and their food. But what happens when some of these leaders are tired of that? Because some of them would want to have children. Some of them would want to have their privacy. It will happen at some point. And I guarantee you guys, when Toby returns to Nigeria, this is when these issues will come out. There's been many disagreements amongst pastors at Spac Nation before. But because of Toby, they were able to resolve these issues. But when he's no longer here in person, he won't have that same effect. So the end is very near. We've been mentioning there's many things going on behind the scenes. Pastors at Spac Nation are having sleepless nights because they know that they are being heavily investigated. So pastors who know they took part of fraudulent activities will know that today it is not easy for them. They can go on and pretend, but they know that their time is coming. And this is why we encourage them. The best way of coming out of there is by, first of all, contacting the victims that you know you have affected. Try to find a solution and try to repay them back. Repent and walk away from Spac. And try to help your other brothers or sisters who are part of that corruption walk away from that place also. It's not the end. It is not the end. Some of these people who are some of the victims who are talking to crime teams and fraud teams and trying to find solutions, these people, if you know you have affected one of them, contact them and try to find a solution. You don't want to go to jail because of an organization that has used you and has manipulated you to become just like some of these corrupted leaders that have there. So before it gets to the point where you're in handcuffs and sent to jail, try to reach out to the victims you know you have personally affected. Because if you cannot see what's going on, then we need to seriously continue to pray for some of you guys. Because you guys have been with this Toby guy. Some of you have been there for 6-7 years. And you've noticed that everything he has spoken about and promised you guys has not happened. What happened to the football stadium? What happened to the houses and the flats that he was building in the UK? All of a sudden now, his mission is done in London and he's returning to Nigeria. Why can't you guys question these things? It's time to open your eyes and stop trying to convince yourself that this man has helped you when you've just been helping him. This is a man you've helped live in mansions. A man you've helped drive in big cars. A man you've helped wear expensive outfits, watches. You guys are the reason why he's like this. He's not the reason that you guys are where you are. Because he's the reason that why many of you guys are in debt. And he has encouraged you guys to do this. So understand why you've lost so many members. Because we all know that Toby always tries to make it look like whoever leaves Spac Nation, a better person will join the organization. This is the tricks that he's always brought up when members have left. He has told his congregation that, listen, God is removing the bad people. You've heard one of his pastors saying that the people who leave Spac are the dead people that have been removed from Spac, and the good ones are going to come. This is the kind of methods that are used inside that organization. So why can't you guys see that this man has not kept any of his promises? All he has done to you guys is get yourself in debt and put pressure in you.